What's going on, guys? It's Stingray here. It's July 30th, 2019, and this is going to be the weekend outlook. We're going to do things a little bit differently this week. I'm going to be doing a more high time frame weekend outlook, and then a couple more teaching sessions this week, mostly because I'm not trading this week because of the high impact news, and it's just not high probability from what I've seen in the past. So I'm going to sit out this week. That doesn't mean you can't catch stuff, especially if you're trading extremely short term. The scalping strategy is a good strategy to be using this week, especially early on in the week. Mostly if you're going to be trading NFP weeks, I like to trade Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then kind of sit out after that. But since we do have the rate decisions tomorrow, so that's still something to be very wary of, I decided just to take the entire week off, and I had some other things going on Monday, so I didn't even want to trade then either. So firstly, we're going to look at dollar, and then I'm going to be talking about euro and pound from a more high time perspective, and I'm actually going to be looking at the futures charts. So I'm going to show you guys what I look for on the futures charts versus the cash prices. So if we look at dollar just on a daily time frame, I'm going to be keeping everything pretty much on the daily and weekly time frames this time, just so we can kind of go through it pretty quick. So if we basically look at the dollar on the daily time frame, it's finally coming up to that 98.30 level that we had talked about, which is about right there. If it does take out this swing high, I do think we'll come out and take out this one and this one right here, because it's pretty much, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty much clean highs right here. And then we'll kind of see, I do think that this could either snap back here and then mean revert, or it could break out, find support, and then go higher just like it did right here when we were watching that. So that's something I have on watch. I'm not really going to try to guess either way. I'm going to let it prove, but the trend is up right now, so we're going to stay with that thesis, and we're going to say that it's going to take out this high and this high. And when we were looking at it, when it was breaking out right here, we said, okay, as soon as it flips this is support, that makes me confident that this 98.10 right here, because this is the up move before the down move, right? So this was the minimum, so I posted 98.10 to 98.30, and the maximum was the swing high. So I'm still confident that it'll take this out, and if it doesn't take this out and it does start to break down from here, that's going to show us something really important too, because when we look at euro's already taken out these lows on its chart, right? So if it doesn't actually do that and it does form a kind of lower high while euro is making that higher high, or on the euro chart would be a lower low, then that's going to be something we're going to be really wary of. But for now, I still do think the trend is up, and we're going to stick with that. So if we take a glance over at the euro chart, so on a weekly basis, this is the range I'd be playing, right? So this is the previous range price was playing, down, or range low, range high, right? Sweep of the high, comes down, sweeps the high again, comes down, sweeps the low, and then it kind of hesitates here at the mid-range and then breaks out. And then ever since then, you can kind of see it's flipped this deviation back above, flip this as resistance, and then it's just kind of been drifting downwards ever since, right? And now we've broken this level as well. I do think we could retrace up into this weekly level, this weekly up move before the down move. So this is the supply zone, right? And then I think we're going to be targeting this little level right here. We have this nice void, and we have the mid-range. So that's my macro perspective on euro. And it's going to be a lot clearer when we look at the daily chart on the futures. So just keep that in mind for a second. Pound, we'll look at the futures chart, and then Aussie. I just added 2 levels to this from last week. I added this level right here, and then this downside maximum objective. So basically what I was looking at for Aussie is I had a high, a low, a higher high, basically holding bullish market structure, right? So I wanted to see come down, carve out a swing low, and then kind of head higher from there. And this was the daily support level I wanted to see it at. So basically, when on a low time frame, as soon as it flipped this, I was like, all right, it's probably going to come down, flip this as well, and then take out this swing low. So that's when I kind of had to change my bias, because at the same time, dollar was pushing up, right? So that's why I think this time we are into support right here, but I do think it'll come down and take out this swing low. And this is the the minimum objective, I think, for the downside if we do break this level. And the reason I got that, so if we look at this real quick, and this is just something I've seen work out a couple times, or not a couple times, more than a couple times. So this is how I like to measure sometimes downside targets. If you have these kind of big ass wicks and you don't really know where to take a reference point of, because you don't really have any SR levels, you can kind of measure the 50% of that, and it'll kind of act as dynamic support and resistance. So that's just something I've picked up just from seeing it happen a couple times. I mean, the last time it happened, it was on UJ. It was pretty cool. So yeah, you can kind of do that. And then if we look at New Zealand dollar, at the same time, if Aussie is going to be breaking down and taking out that low, then I definitely expect this to be breaking market structure, right? Because right now, we talked about Aussie, it's still holding that market structure. So Aussie was holding the bearish market structure, or just broke the bearish market structure, while New Zealand dollar is holding bullish market structure still, right? So if we look right here, low, high, higher low, higher high, and then now it's coming down and retracing. It is right into support right now. It is at the 50% of the supply zone, or sorry, this demand zone, but I don't think it's going to hold, because at the same time we see Aussies looking pretty bearish. So what I think is going to happen is probably going to see something like this, They're going to take out this swing low. And then we'll see if it fills in this void into here. And then depending on where dollar's at and all that, then we'll look at this swing low. Right, so that's the plan for New Zealand dollar. So now let's jump over to the futures chart. This is going to be a little different for some of you. So basically the futures chart, we're going to start with sorry, this is the dollar. We're going to start with the euro. So basically all the futures chart is the actual chart of the currency. So if you're looking at euro dollar, you're looking at a crosspair of the euro and the dollar, right? So if you're looking at the euro futures, it's just going to be the euro denomination of that. And if that makes sense, so at the same time, if we're looking at a UJ future, so if we're looking at the yen futures, because dollar is in front of yen, the yen futures are going to be inverted. So if we have euro dollar, that means we're looking at the dollar, or the euro, the base pair is going to be the normal correlation. And if we're looking at dollar yen, for example, that means the yen pair is going to be the inverse correlation when we're looking at futures. So that's just something to keep in mind in case you do end up using these charts. But so on the dollar, keep saying dollar. If you're looking at the euro futures chart on the daily, right, what I'm looking for is I still do think it's going to take out this low. And if we looked on the euro chart, it already had taken out this low, and we had talked about that mid-range level, right? This mid-range, into the void right here. So that's what's kind of different on this, is it hasn't taken out this low yet. So if we do retrace up into this, I think we'll fill in a little bit of this void and then into this level. And if we look, this is our OTE, our favorite little pattern, right? So where are my fibs? That's all this little orange box is, just OTE. So this is the minimum of resistance, right? So if we retrace up into that, take out this high into the resistance, probably come up into the OTE, maybe poke our head into that, and then we'll look for a sell-off taking out this low. Now, this is something I want to keep an eye on right here. If we do pull up a euro overlay, and we just overlay the line chart of euro USD, if we notice, like I was talking about earlier, we have taken out the low, so we can just kind of adjust this. Sorry. So now, for some reason, if dollar does swing fail that high, and we start to take out that high and then sell off, and at the same time euro dollar hasn't taken out this low right here, and we have a divergence between the futures price and the cash price, that's a really powerful sign. That means that's a really, really bullish sign. So I've seen this happen a couple times. I don't have too many examples I can show you guys right now off the top of my head. I was looking for one on UJ earlier, but I couldn't really find one. But if this does happen and we do hold this divergence between cash and futures, this is a really, really powerful move, and then I think we'll really make it up move. But that's only if at the same time this hasn't taken out that low and dollar's starting to break down. So that's a lot of ifs right now. So until we see something that really confirms this, we're going to stick with the trend, and we're going to say, okay, the trend is down. We're not going to try to fight that. And you'll see that a lot of my trading is I don't really like to try to call tops and bottoms. So I'd rather let it break market structure and prove it to me and then sell the retest than actually trying to guess at that top or bottom, just because I found that trying to do that over time, it hurts my strike rate a lot. So if we look at pound, I think it's a lot more clearer on the futures chart than it was on the cash chart. So if we look, this is just the 50% of basically this down move before the up move. So I'm just going to grab some water real quick. So we basically flip that as resistance now. So this is the ceiling capping price. So if we do retrace up into here, I'd be looking for shorts on any retrace basically. And I don't know how strong this retrace is going to be. I think it's going to be pretty shallow if I'm honest with you. And then we're going to be looking for takeout into this low right here and then to these clean lows right here. Right. So that's basically what I'm looking for on pound. And I think it's a lot clearer on this chart than it is on the other one, just because it's easier to see a high time frame. But I don't really see much upside, like I was saying. I mean, we were talking about all in here. A lot of people were trying to long it all in here, and I just didn't really see it. So instead of trying to guess on what side it was going to break, I just started to see steer clear, and it clearly just broke down here because it was bouncing on the support level. So I do think this is the next objective, and then these clean lows, and then we'll kind of see what happens there. We'll see if it starts carving out a swing low, and what Euro's doing at the same time. And then just a quick little bonus right here. I'm going to look at yen real quick, and this is how I was able to call that yen long. This is basically what I was looking at. So if we look up, it retraced, right? So if we made this high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. It swept above these clean highs, and the reason I didn't I was comfortable selling this because this is what I was just saying, right? I'd rather wait for it to break market structure, takes out this low, that's the shift in market structure, comes up, retrace into the clean highs, fills in this void into the up move before the down move. So we have a nice supply zone right there, right? So if we go back down on the hourly, it literally tapped that supply zone perfectly and then sold off, right? And so I said, okay, as soon as it breaks this market structure right there, then we know it's pretty much confirmed. So any retrace here, I was comfortable selling then and then adding onto my yen position. So that last add was on this retrace right here, right? Because it broke market structure back into a supply zone and then sold off. And now I'd be looking for, it took out this low, now I'd be looking for it to take out this low and then fill in some of this void. But that's what we'll be looking for later on in the week. I still think it could sweep back above here, right here, and fill in this void. So that's something I'll be keeping an eye out for. But other than that, I do think this goes lower, and at the same time that would basically mean that UJ goes higher, right? So remember that this is the inverse chart. But that's pretty much all I have for this week. I will be doing those teaching videos like I was saying, just so you guys can understand my strategy a little bit better. Feel free to hit me up with any questions. If you guys anything that's unclear or anything I can do better, then please let me know. Other than that, have a good one, guys. Be very careful trading this week.